morning, everyone. I'm gonna get started. I feel like a couple more people are gonna pop on, but I do kind of have a full agenda and I want to give you guys plenty of time to ask questions. So first, I just want to remind everyone that we are recording these sessions and there will be a link on the Information Center blog called Healthy Families Discussions, where all of these sessions are posted. So the first thing that I want to go into is how to term and reinstate a home visitor on the worker form. And I want to share my screen. It's located under settings. Okay, does everybody see the test site? Okay, great. So as I said, it is located under settings, the worker form. And I'm just going to go into Emma Schuster here and under the term tab. So we can see that Emma was termed on 3/13/23. That is the last day that she's physically working in the program. Okay, so the 24th is the start of her leave or her termination. So say Emma decides to return to work. And so I'm gonna, only supervisors or people who have supervisor access have access to the worker form. So you'd have to have that. So I'm just gonna click on the reinstate button. And here we have this box that shows up and it says record leave of absence for the worker. In most cases, you're gonna wanna say yes here because that is going to keep the time period of the leave intact, which means that during that time period, the worker and the program will not be responsible for observations, for supervisions, for any trainings that are due during this leave period. Okay, so that's very important to mark yes if that's what your plan is. So we're going to say yes here. Now, the end date should be the date, and as this note says here, the end date should be the date that is prior to the date the worker will start back at the program. So let's just say that she's going to start work on Thursday, July 13th. We're going to want to make this date July 12th, 23. That's the Wednesday prior to her starting. Okay, so then we're going to submit, and it goes right back to the details page. Now, you do have to set a supervisor. So Supervisor Ben Simmons is already placed, and you'll want to set a scheduled supervision day. Because her email address is already set up here, this should activate her MIS status. Is that correct, Chris? Or Ben, or whatever?
Yes. Yeah. But Corey, you should show the termination tab because now the leave is recorded.
So again, the leave period is recorded from 3/13 to 7/12. During this time period, this person will not be accountable for supervisions, for any trainings during this period, or observations. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about this? I'm going to stop my share. All righty. I was just checking the chat to see if there's any questions. Sorry about that pause. The next thing that I want to kind of remind everyone is, recently we've been receiving, there's a question from Nora. If the worker receives supervision on a monthly basis, would we need to complete one in the last week of the month of return? Jay said yes.
I didn't say yes. I just smiled because I saw Allie smiling because she just came back. But uh, so I'd have to look at the report, and I will do that right now.
Okay, thank you. While we're waiting for Jay to get back to us, I'm just going to move on. This is just a reminder, as I said before, we've recently received a lot of tickets, or not a lot, but enough where I'd want to mention it here, regarding changing the target child's date of birth on the MIS. There is a detailed training video regarding changing the target child's date of birth, and it states the rules that have to, all fall in place for the date of birth to be changed. But it also discusses the difference between a prenatal and a postnatal case. And a lot of times it's that confusion that presents the opportunity or the reason for a ticket. So again, I'm going to share my screen. I just want to show you where you can find. So you can find the videos under Help and Docs, the training and webinars, and you can see the videos right here. But it's also on the blog if you're ever wandering around there. But it is a very detailed video, and it does tell like all the things that, like, if this happens, then that happens, and again, it describes the difference between that postnatal and prenatal. Let's see. Next on my agenda is editing forms. So any forms that need to be edited but have been approved already by the supervisor can only be edited by someone with a supervisor access. So if someone with a user access, say, needs a level form edited or a home visit log edited, but it's previously been approved by a supervisor, go to your supervisor, maybe discuss during supervision, editing that form. Jay, are you good to go?
Yeah. So I looked at Duchess specifically and Allie. I'm not really going to give any details about what's going on there, but essentially Allie is not included on the supervision report through the end of September. And the reason for that is because she doesn't have any cases assigned to her right now. And this is something that's actually that we're discussing, possibly changing this report. But right now, so the answer, Nora, would be that she would not require a supervision at the end of the period, unless some cases were assigned to her before September 30th. And then she would be included on the report, and then she would have a requirement for that last week. I'd have to do the exact math to see what Allie's day is. Let me see. So her day is set up as Tuesday. So Tuesday is today. And her September 22nd. Yeah, so I think if you assign cases to her before the end of the month, then she would be required to have that last supervision. But otherwise, she's not going to be included on the report. She's not going to be held to the standard. But like I said, we're in the process of tweaking this. Corinne, did you have something to add?
I wanted to ask a question. That would be for 12.1b. But what about 12.3? Ali is a supervisor and she does need monthly supervision.
Yeah. Let me check that one. You're right. You're right, though. Supervision. All right. Well, Corey, you can start talking again while I look into this.
Okay.
I do think that she does need it, Nora. Just saying. Just saying.
So the next thing that I want to address again, this is just a reminder. When you're sending in a ticket, it is really important that we have all the details that we possibly can. Recently, and I don't know whether it's new users or new programs, but recently we've been getting tickets with, you know, very few details. Like if you get an error on the MIS, the ticket details will just say error. And we don't know, you know, what the form is, what happened, if it was a validation error, if it was a crash. So again, the ticket details in that description, please, if it has something to do with a case, put the case number. If you're trying to run a report and you get a problem, please, you know, put the report name and what happened and what default dates or what dates that you're entering for that report. If you're dealing, if your problem happens during the supervision or anything, you know, just put all the details that you possibly can in that description. It just saves everybody a lot of time and there's not a lot of back and forth. And we know you guys are so busy. So you're submitting a ticket, you want an answer, you're going to get a quicker answer if you provide all the details. Yeah, it takes more time up front, but in the end result, it really saves a lot of time. Jay, are you good or should I move on?
No, I think there's a bug in the report. So let me see.
You know what, Nora? I mean, if this is okay with you, Jay, we'll just look into this and we'll get back to you. We'll actually create a ticket and we can, as a team, look into it. Okay? Is that good?
Yeah.
So a couple things about the specific report. The 12-3B, 12-3. So the thing is the report does not actually measure the adherence to standard. It just pretty much lists out the supervisions. So, so the report itself doesn't really tell you that you're not meeting standards. It just gives the raw status of the any sessions that were had. But it looks like it's including Allie during her leave. So I that's why I think there's a bug. But Corey, I'm on board with that. We should discuss it. And like I said, we're also working on some changes in this area. So
Okay.
but right now it does not. Right now it doesn't include Allie in the August and September sections. It does include her in the July section, but again, it doesn't measure whether or not they're meeting the standard or what. It just shows how many supervisions there were, what the length of them were, and you know, I assume that has to be scored independently for accreditation. But we'll talk about that and have a definitive answer for you, Nora.
Thank you. So the next and final item on my agenda is this actually occurred because of your feedback that we received through tickets and discussions or whatever. So I wanted to, and Kareen, feel free to jump in here if I have this information wrong, but I wanted to discuss the shadowing, the supervisor shadowing due date. Recently, it has come to our attention that it's really difficult to, even though the BPS states that the shadowing is due at 0 days, like the start of the supervision role, it's really difficult to make that happen. So because of your feedback and through the conversations that we've had as a team and just trying to help you guys out, we have extended the due date time period through the first 30 days of this the start of that supervision role. Correct, Kareen?
Yeah, and you know, this is not a BPS. This is something that New York State requires everybody to have shadowing before they do or they start their role. So basically, that's exactly how you said it, Corey, because it is so difficult, not only for like, if you have more supervisors in your program, then it's easy to shadow another supervisor. But what if you're the only supervisor in your program? Then you have to arrange shadowing somebody at another program, and so that takes time. So that is why the extension to the 30 days, and hopefully that will help out.
Thank you so much, Karina. I'm sorry that I said BPS, so it's a New York State rule, but we have extended it through 30 days. We just want to let you know that, through your feedback and through the ticketing system, we can make these changes happening, and we are listening, and we want to assist the programs in any way we can, because we know there's a lot going on. So having said that, I am going to open the floor to you guys and just bring on all your questions. No questions.
Actually, really quick. I logged in late, but I heard something about supervision, and I want to ask if you guys were talking about it counting, because I know that at times when I do supervision with my staff, let's say if it requires 4 supervisions for that month, and or like let's say it requires 3 supervisions, I'm going to use that example, and you miss a week because let's say the staff is away on vacation or whatever, so you feel like, okay, so you're going to get this all done, and then it's just not counting that last week of that month, that supervision, it doesn't count. So then it shows like you only did 2 supervisions versus 3. Was that what you guys were talking about when I came in? Because I think I was missing something.
No, that wasn't what we were talking about. But, okay, so I'm just going to take part of this question. So if the staff is out all week on vacation, that's actually the only acceptable exception to. So if you put as the reason that you miss supervision staff out all week, then that should put an E in that space and not a 0 or a 1. And so that will not be counted towards the supervision. Okay, so that's part 1. Part 2 is if the month ends on a Wednesday, it's going to say that week is not completed, because we need to capture. So if the supervision date is on a Monday and the month ends on a Wednesday, then if you push the report date criteria through the end of that week, then that will count that week. Does that make sense? And am I wrong here? I know.
No, but I would like to add something very important, and I'm going to put, if I can, I'm going to put a webinar that we usually go over at SoupCore. I want everybody to take a look at it, because basically what happens is that whatever day you select as your supervision day, that is when the MIS is going to start looking for a supervision to happen in the next 7 days. And that is why there is sometimes differences, because everybody has a different supervision day, Marisol. So take a look at this PowerPoint that explains exactly how the MIS looks for those supervisions, because it might be easier for you to organize. You need 75%. So we always say, like, it's not like you need 100% of them, but you need to make sure that you know what is the day that the MIS will start looking for those supervisions happening within the 7 next days of the week. We also had a blog. We sent it in, I think it's years ago, but basically a good way of knowing what needs to happen with each of the people that you're supervising would be at the beginning of each quarter, just print out the supervision 12-1B for the whole quarter that gives you each day of the week in the month where you need to have something happen. It might not happen on that day, and that's just fine. And as Corey said, you might have a person away for the whole week, and that's just fine. But staff out all week is going to be whatever that day of supervision starts till, you know, the next week. So that is where you might run into difficulties. So I recommend that you like go over that PowerPoint again. I presented it like years ago already, because I think it's like dated from 2019, but it's still the way that the MIS works. So it's still good.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I'm definitely gonna look into it.
Okay.
And Karine, is that posted on the, is that posted anywhere? Or is it just presented at Supervisor Core?
It is presented at Supervisor Core. It's not uploaded to the website. Or yes, wait a second, let me check, because it might be under supervision, under the supervisor role, but I'm not too sure.
Karine, all I see there are the guidelines for the supervision notes. I don't.
What?
Oh, on the supervisor page?
I thought on the PowerPoint, and I was like, what? No.
No. On the website. But I
then we
think you're
should
right.
put it.
I think we don't have that on the website, but I think that's a great idea. We should put it on the website.
Yeah.
So I have it now, so it can be put on the website.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marisol, for your question. Anybody else have a question?
I have another question. So we've had a few families recently who have enrolled, and at enrollment, and during their assessment, we've learned that while they're pregnant, and you know, maybe the target child's father is not in the picture, they have like a father figure. Would utilizing the father figure form be the most appropriate to capture that information in MIS?
I don't think so, Nora.
Okay.
We walked away from the father figure thing. Would that person end up being PC2, for example, or
Okay.
not?
Okay. Most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the father figure form is designed specifically to work with a person who has the father advocate role. And like Karine said, that role is either no longer funded or just being phased out. And so, and the father is more organically just being brought into the service. So, haven't officially retired it, but you know, I mean, you can collect information there, but it's really not tied to anything else. So, you know, a few years ago we had it tied to fatherhood advocate activities, but we no longer have the fatherhood advocates. So, it's not important to keep track of who the father figures are. But, I mean, if you just want to keep track of the information, it's there, you can do that. But, it would be more crucial if the father, I mean, it'd be more fitting if the father year than I said they would be seats, but the fatherhood figure could be retired at any time. So with that caveat, you can store information there just to keep track of it, but it's not really tied in and it might go away. So that's probably not the best idea.
Okay.
And
Actually, I had a meeting with Tom Dwyer not too long ago regarding the father figure and father advocacy. And because all of the fatherhood information is being captured through the curriculum, we had decided that the father advocate and father figure form will like go away because all that information is already captured through the curriculum. And it's on our to-do list. I've already given it to them. So probably, as Corinne said, not the greatest idea to use that form because I think it is going to go away. But
Yeah.
thanks, really great question, Laura.
Yeah. And you do have on the frog scale, you do have the option of selecting either OBP or PC2. So that is where you would make the difference, and then you know, in all the other forms you would be able to indicate that person as PC2.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, where's Joe today?
I am here, Jay.
Oh, good. Well, Nora's got you beat today 2-1, so I know, Joe. You ask your questions via the editing system quite often, so may not have any outstanding this time.
Usually mine are much more detailed than fits into this time frame. So
Well, that's true too.
Hey, so if there's no more questions, the last thing that I want to mention is that our next scheduled Healthy Families discussion is going to be on Friday the 13th of October. So, you know, spooky season, fun meeting.
Nora did have another question.
I
Oh, I'm
did.
sorry. Go ahead, Nora.
No. So when we're filling out the TCID and birth outcomes, we often comment, I know, on like the birth of the baby, whether or not the baby was breastfed. Is there a possibility, and I know that, you know, with all the changes to the BPS, we're also busy, so this is like just forward thinking, but is there a possibility to add the name of the birthing facility? So in Dutchess County, we have multiple birthing facilities, and I'm just thinking in terms of like equity planning and support, like our initiatives, if we ever wanted to compare the two facilities in terms of breastfeeding rates and then potentially target support to those facilities and those staff, and that be like our equity plan, right? Like that, if that information is already on MIS, it would be much easier to submit a data request and then have sort of like a baseline of data to move from. So I didn't know if that is a possibility, something we could consider. Just putting it out there.
It wouldn't be that difficult to enter, as you correctly pointed out, Nora. We got a lot on our plate these days, but I think for the same reasons that it would be useful to you, it might be useful to other people as well. And I think you know, it's worth putting in the request to have it, and your justification, and you know, at some point once we discuss it, we could get to it.
Send a ticket, Nora.
Okay, I will.
Awesome.
Okay, so as I was saying, the next Healthy Families meeting is scheduled for Friday, October 13th at 11 a.m. The new Zoom information we posted on the blog, and I will also send an invitation complete with the Zoom information within the next couple weeks. And remember, these meetings are for all the MIS users. So if you have new staff or you're a new program and you want your team involved, please invite all your MIS friends. And I guess that is it. Thanks again, everybody, for coming, and I hope we helped you guys. Bye.